Welcome into my Ladies of London review. This episode is titled Martha in the Middle. I am Mrs. Best. We are chucking along with this show. I am thoroughly entertained, but I love the fact that I am entertained without a headache. But if you are watching the premiere of this video, good morning to you. If you are on the East Coast, good afternoon to you, beautiful people. Welcome into the channel. This is going to be probably a quicker review, but I could see that they're like taking their time with the drama, but I don't know if it's because these people are British or what, but I'm like thoroughly entertained thus far. Before we go any further, we always encourage people to see the links in the description of this video so that you can tap in and subscribe with other creators that I collaborate with and some other creators that just have great content that somebody may like. So I encourage everybody to do that. Also, we would really appreciate it, we being me, if you guys would consider liking the video. If you have been here a few times and like what we do, consider subscribing. I'm always trying to make changes to the channel and improve and all of those good things. But now that the pleasantries are out of the way, beautiful people, let's get into the episode. So the episode started with like a scene that wasn't really too relevant, but it is helping us to get to know Micah. We see Micah fighting for her life to drive in London. Now, Micah is from the United States, and it sounds like she just was not the best driver in general. Some people aren't, and I'd rather you admit it than be out here acting like you're a good driver and you're really not a good driver. But Micah is fighting for her life driving in London. She has a driving instructor because if she gets one more ticket or does one more bad thing as it relates to driving, London said they finna take her license away. And she's like, oh no, I can't have that. I feel like, so when my mother traveled outside of the US and went somewhere where like the driving was on the right side versus the left side, like we do here in the States, she said it took her a while to adjust when she went out there. And then it took her a while to adjust back coming back here. So I feel like that could be what's messing with Micah, because I feel like that would mess with me. It's not for everybody, but I'm glad she has a driving instructor. But the driving instructor was a little bit quiet. I was like, lady, tell her. Because when she was backing up, I swore Micah was going to hit that car when she was backing up. I swore she was going to hit the car, y'all. But I also want to comment, Micah, your hair has a lot going on, and I hope that you figure it out. She's got dry edges. There's some discoloration. I let your hair breathe. You don't have to always have it in these crazy ponytails and all of that. Let your hair breathe. But we learned that Kimmy feels like Margot does not actually care for Missy, and feels like pretty much Kimmy feels like Missy was just stirring the pot, and Kimmy is fed up and done with Margot. This does not surprise me. I can understand how Kimmy would feel that way. And I do agree with Kimmy's assessment of Margot. However, I like Kimmy, but Kimmy, you have to know, girl, you have to know you was wrong to make that comment. You have to know you were wrong to make that comment. And you could redeem yourself if you would just be like, you know what, this was a little shallow of me to say, and I apologize, and move on. Because then Margot wouldn't have an argument. It's like, okay, she said what she said. She's apologized. She's been accountable. So if Margot were to continue bringing it up, it would make her look messy. But the way Kimmy's handling it, in my opinion, is making it to where it's easier for Margot to have something. Because Margot does seem like someone who's messy and stirs the pot. It seems like she has a chip on her shoulder from how appalled the Brits were from her being in a movie, being intimate with somebody. Like, I don't know. I just feel like Margot is messy. But Lottie, Missy, and Margot all meet up. And we learned some things. So we learned that Missy still feels a way about what happened with Kimmy, which I can understand. Somebody made light and was not empathetic to the death of someone that you loved. I would take a while to get over that too. If Missy was just like, oh, okay, we're good, I would be looking at her crazy. I feel like this is something she gets to stay mad about for some time. I don't see why not. But aside from Missy feeling away, Margot, why? Because Lottie's pregnant. Why, Margot, do you need 3 nannies for 1 child? Why? Now, we know that Margot has stepkids, so I'm like, maybe she has nannies for the stepkids, even though they're older. Some people do that. But I'm looking at Margot like, you had 3 nannies for 1 kid. Don't complain about anything. You have not really had the experience of momhood doing that, in my opinion. Because I'm like, if the baby wake up in the middle of the night, the nanny's waking up, not her. If the baby, it seems like she's just there. But, you know, we also see moments with Margot with her baby alone. But I'm just like, 3 nannies? Seems like a waste of money. You want to stay rich, baby. You might want to reconsider. Because eventually these kids will go to college and you're going to have to fit the bill. Well, your husband. Because I don't feel like Margot's income is like that. And we'll get into that a little later, but I just don't feel that about Margot's income. But not much came out of that scene, you guys. I'm doing the best I can with what I got and what Bravo Television gave me. So the next scene is Lottie's gender reveal. I'm not going to go over her gender reveal too much. She did say some interesting things, like gender reveals are not so common in other parts of the world. It's more of an American thing, but I guess it's becoming more popular in other parts of the world through TikTok. Look at the power of social media. My goodness. So Lottie does have a gender reveal. It was nice to see the family around. And she says her dad is ill because he's fighting, I believe she said, liver cancer. And it's nice for her to be able to like have people around. But I was cracking up because she's over here like, I want my family together because my father is ill. And her dad is like, well, I've already got grandkids. So he's like, let's just add another one to the list. But it was nice to see their families. They're an interesting couple. And we do learn that they're having a boy, which I think anyone that knows a little bit about pregnancy or has been pregnant themselves knows. They say that girls take your beauty and it'd be a big old belly, and boys usually sit low or smaller and all that crazy stuff. So I kind of figured she was having a boy with just how small she was. And then her husband is small. They're small people. So I don't expect her to have like this big old ginormous baby bump. I just do not expect that. I just don't. But we later see the 2 women meet. We're going to see Margot Margot calls Martha, and Margot is continuing on her messiness. And she tells her that she pretty much feels like Kimmy is a snake in the grass. And Martha makes a comment. She's like, I don't want to be in the middle. You're both wrong. And I'm just kind of like, Martha, you are correct. Martha got enough problems. Martha used to be royalty. Now she broke living with a bird. She can only afford to repair 1 room in her house. Martha don't have time to be in the middle of their petty BS. You could tell Martha is not interested in it, and they both keep coming to her about the other. But just because you feel a way about someone doesn't mean that someone else is going to share that same experience and feeling as you. Like, people are entitled to feel how they feel. And that's the thing with friend groups, where like everybody in the friend group all knows each other, talks to each other. I've always felt like it's kind of a recipe for disaster unless you're on like a trip or something, and keep it light, because it's just too many people getting involved in like each other's stuff. It's messy. And I'm looking at Martha and I'm like, girl, you really are in the middle. They named this episode appropriately. They sure did. But we later see the group gather at Emma's house, and we're going to see some of the group gather at Margot's new rental house. But we'll start with Emma's house. So Kimmy did come at Margot hard. She expressed her disdain. She does not care for Margot. She feels like she's starting a pot. She says she is snake in the grass, and she is not here for it. And Martha's trying to be fair and is like, but she's not that bad. Margot's a good person. I've known her 20 years. She's trying to defend her friend. But Kimmy was not having it and said to Martha, you could feel how you feel, but she's eventually going to F you over. I said, well, damn, Kimmy. Dang. And Martha's like, I don't think so. And I know that Martha was saying that, but it's very rare that someone has come to me and it's like, if you're friends with this person, they're going to screw you over. When people say stuff like that, I feel like Martha's the type, she's going to keep that in her back pocket and in her head, but she's also not going to treat Margot differently just because someone's telling her that. And I'm looking at Kimmy and I'm like, just because you have a problem with Margot, for the betterment of the group, you don't have to go and like tell people that she's a snake in the grass and she's going to F them over. Like, that's a bit much, because she really would not have the content to screw you over, Kimmy, if you did not make those statements. That's why I say Kimmy is not wrong in her assessment of Margot, because Margot is messy and stirs the pot, and I feel like she's going to keep doing it. However, comma, if Kimmy would just apologize, say she messed up, be accountable and move on, Margot would have no argument and there'd be no pot for her to stir. But by Kimmy then going and talking crap about her and expressing her disdain, now you're giving Margot a way to be relevant, which is all she wants. That's what she gives. It's all she wants. She gives social climber. She absolutely does, down to her marriage. She gives social climber. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But at the other dinner, Micah is put on the spot about what happened with Kimmy and Martha. And, you know, Micah is about etiquette. Micah also seems like someone that avoids confrontation. It does not seem like Micah is comfortable at all with confrontation. Like, she just seems like the etiquette thing really might be part of her being. But Mark Francis, the wonderful gentleman that he is, he jumped in and he was telling us that people say that Margot has become uppity since marrying her rich husband. People say that she is now insufferable and that all she talks about is the money she has, her budgets, what she wants to spend. And I do see that. Ladies of London, like, the British are not like the American. Margot is giving classic American. She got a little bit of money and she wants to be ignorant and show everybody that she has a little bit of money. So when she's not buying something, she's going to talk to us about what she is going to buy. She's going to talk to us about how big her budget is. And she's going to be showing rental houses that cost 60,000 American US dollars a month, which is stupid because I'm sure you could get a mansion that you own for less than, but I will digress there. But I do see what Mark is saying. And I do feel like, also, if we go back to her history, Margot's story that she explained when we were introduced to her was she did like an erotic film or something where she actually had intercourse with somebody on camera. And the British did not like that. There were headlines talking about American actress makes British actor ejaculate on camera. I was like, what the heck is going on? Who thought of that as the headline for that article? Because I cannot unsee it. But Margot already has kind of like a controversial reputation in London as it is. So I can understand why her marrying up, having a baby quickly. And she told us she told him that you got to marry me because I'm pregnant. So we don't even know if he was going to mess with her like that. But I can understand why her having access to the money could get to her head a little bit. She's an American. We don't be knowing how to act. It's just the truth. We just don't. But I found that interesting. I was like, not Margot catching a stray for Mark. Now I'm starting to see Mark may help us to understand how everybody is. Because I've been kind of like, what is Mark's purpose on this show? Like, is he just going to be here making like funny little sayings and stuff? Like, is he just the gay relief? You know, Bravo likes to always have a gay put into all of their shows. And I don't mind it, but I was just like, what purpose does Mark serve? But it looks like as we progress through the season, he's going to give more. So I'm totally okay with that. But Margot swears that she has no issues with Kimmy. I said, how you say you don't have an issue with her when you went and intervened in a conversation that had nothing to do with you, called out everything she did, and then said that she's like a little evil Popeye? Like, you obviously have a problem with her. You don't just speak about people like that, especially some shit that has nothing to do with you and it is not your business. You don't just put yourself into some business that has nothing to do with you unless you care and have an issue. So obviously you felt the way, Margot. And if you didn't feel a way, then you're just messy. But either way, there was some type of care and intent behind her involvement in it all. Because Micah was there and she didn't run to Missy and tell her what was said. Margot's the only one that felt the need to go run and tell it. Why do you have to run and tell it? Especially when you're not even that close to Missy. Like, girl, bye. That's why I'm looking like, Kimmy, you got to handle her appropriately. You're not handling Margot right. She's very easy to predict and not as smart as she believes. But, you know, I can't make these heifers listen to me. I just cannot make them listen to me. But we're going to move forward. Micah is preparing for what looks to be a plagiarized version of Sesame Street. I'm sorry. I like Micah, y'all, But when I see some puppets counting and telling me about manners and etiquette, I'm a 90s kid. I grew up on Sesame Street. My siblings watched Sesame Street. I'm thinking a Big Bird and the Count, Bert, Ernie, Maria, and all my homies on Sesame Street. Okay, that's what I'm thinking about. And she had these puppet dolls that looked like, what was the guy? Was it Oscar who was in the trash can? I ain't watched Sesame Street, y'all. I'm 33. I ain't watched Sesame Street in over 20 some years. I put it on for people's kids, but I don't watch. I go away. So I don't know if these characters are still there, but maybe Sesame Street isn't in the UK. I would think that they worldwide, like Candy Burris would say, but I don't know. But it just looked like she was plagiarizing Sesame Street. Either way, I am all for somebody teaching kids manners, because a lot of you parents ain't teaching your kids manners. Y'all seen the video on the internet of that school bus driver whooping that mama ass because her son was acting a fool and she didn't want to discipline him. So I'm all for people teaching kids manners. However it has to come. However it has to come. And I felt like we did get to know a little bit more about Micah. One, we know that her husband, I believe he's like an equity investor or something like that. And we know that he travels a lot. She said on average, her husband travels 4 out of 5 days of every week. So essentially, he lives somewhere else and they see each other on the weekends. But she is raising the kids, dealing with her business and doing all of this stuff. And she says that she feels overwhelmed and off balanced because she has a lot going on. Her son's been sick. She's not getting a lot of sleep. And she wishes her husband was home so that she could have the help. Here's the thing. I would find a way, if he has to be gone that many days in a week, I would find a way to like homeschool my kids, or even like put them in a school near where he travels to, unless he's traveling to different spaces. Maybe homeschool them and go with him. Because what is the point in being married and having kids just to feel like a single parent, woman or man? That's ridiculous. Like, I'm all for dude making a living, but I think this is why a lot of multimillionaires and billionaires have spouses that don't work, because if you want to see them, you need to be available probably to travel with them. And that's difficult to do if you got your own business. And yeah, but I get her wanting to have her own identity and stuff, because she's probably in the UK for this man, because she's from North Carolina. So she's probably in the UK because of this man. And it's interesting, but I like Micah thus far. Even with how she handles stress, she handles it with grace. Because any other Housewives franchise specifically, the woman will be damn near on the way to the divorce saying, I got a Bravo check on the way. So I commend Micah for still trying to balance it. Some women balance, some people feel overwhelmed, but they're not going to give up their dreams, and they're also not going to give up their spouse and their family. So it's nice to see that. I think it's relatable to a certain extent, especially if you got a man that works. If you can't relate, do better. Moving forward, friendly reminder, if you are still here 18 minutes and 27 seconds in, consider liking the video. I would greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. Y'all, Kimmy and Missy meet up. This is the last little scene of the show. And their talk was like weird. Like Missy was like, I hate her, but it was a great bag. Kimmy, that was a good bag. I'm tired of Kimmy wearing these like, I have children that are adults and I live on a farm type dresses with this British hair and a great fashion forward purse. Like, I feel like Kimmy needs a stylist, but it's cool. But Kimmy and Missy meet, and Kimmy explains that it was not her intention to hurt Missy. And Kimmy kind of explains also that she wanted to talk to Missy because she feels like she was unable to even properly address Missy or give her a sincere apology while she was fighting and arguing back and forth with Margot behind her back, commenting and adding negativity to everything that she tried to do to move forward with Missy in that moment. And I do have to say this, y'all. Kimmy, I do enjoy Kimmy. She's one of my favorites on the show, and I think that she's always going to bring us entertainment. However, just because I like her, I'm going to hold her accountable. She was shady. She was very much shady in her comments in that car about Missy's brother's death. But I feel like if Kimmy would put herself in Missy's shoes, she would be able to see the issue. And I feel like she doesn't want to hurt the girl's feeling. I feel like she really is just messy and slick at the tongue. But she's not going to just apologize. Of course, she's going to make it difficult. But Kimmy also explains that that she feels like she uses humor as a crutch, like for when she's uncomfortable or hears something, which some people do. They'll laugh. Some people laugh at funerals. Some people will turn to religion, like Kimmy said. Some people will just say nothing and be stark. Some people will show their emotions. Everyone is different in their response. Like what she said was like, ooh, you probably should have said that. But it's like, what can she do? Especially if the death was controversial and all over the news, which it was. I'm sure that Missy expects this. She just doesn't expect it within her friend group. But Kimmy explains again that Margot tried to interrupt the peace. And eventually Kimmy and Missy do make peace. Missy did hold Kimmy accountable and did not let her foot off her neck. She's like, yes, but you have to understand how it makes me feel. And Kimmy did apologize again. And, you know, it seems she understood that Missy did feel judged. And she said that going forward, she understands that she cannot joke with her about certain things. But she also threw a little shade. She was like, I see that you're just more sensitive than me. So I'm going forward, be careful with that and avoid humor. I said, Kimmy, Kimmy, please. But I'm here for it because she is good for TV. She's not acting just a plum fool. And they did make peace. And in the end, Kimmy had the last word by throwing a dagger at Margot. She says, we really shouldn't believe everything she says because you need to watch out for Margot because she acts one way in front of you and another way in front of me and a different in front of everybody. And we have to remember she's a paid actor and she behaves differently depending on who she's around. I said, now, Kimmy, why you put that bug in Missy ear? Kimmy said, I'm going to make peace with her so that if Margot brings it up again, then I could say me and Missy talked again and made peace. Why are you still bringing it up? Kimmy's smart. I see what Kimmy is doing because I promise y'all, she did not tell anybody that she was meeting with Missy. And so I feel like the next time they're around, if she's nice, Margot's going to start some shit. And then Kimmy's going to be like, but me and her are good. We've talked twice now. The second time without you, it went peacefully. I know what you're doing, Kimmy. Kimmy not stupid. She not stupid. And Margot, Kimmy may have an accent now because she's been in the UK for over 30 years. But she come from America. She just as messy with you. So I'm curious to see. I find it funny, too. On a show called Ladies of London, the people bring in the drama, the foolery, and the stuff that's just like uncouth to say. Of course, it's the fucking Americans. From Dara acting a fool and quitting on camera when she was caught up, okay, to Micah wanting to be overly polite because she probably feel like she got a point to prove and not being able to drive, about to get her license taken away, to Margot's messiness and Kimmy shadiness. Like, the Americans are acting a fool overseas. This is why they don't like us. This is exactly why. This is exactly why people don't like us. I see why. But you guys, that is it for my review of Ladies of London, season 4, episode 5, Martha in the Middle. She sure was. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode. Also, let me know if you guys would like me to do YouTube lives for this. I have gotten good views on Ladies of London. So if you guys are interested in ever having a YouTube live stream where we could interact during these reviews, drop it in the comments or DM me, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm totally open to doing what my subscribers want. I appreciate you. Also, a big shout out to all of our new subscribers that we got in the month of March. I got over 30 new subscribers, so welcome. Welcome, welcome. I'm at 773. I am so close to 800, so please help me get to 800. Share the video, tell a friend. We will be live later on today, March the 27th. Probably in the evening, but we will be live to go over the Housewives of Beverly Hills. I believe James from the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel should be joining us. But other than that, y'all, check out the links in the description to check out other creators. I appreciate the support from everyone, and I'll see y'all on the next review. Adios.